They say you can smell money. Tonight, I was choking on it. The mansion sprawled across 3 acres of prime real estate, all marble columns and crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my annual salary. I stood in the grand ballroom, nursing a glass of champagne that tasted like regret, watching my wife Amanda work the room like she owned it. She didn't, but she wanted to. My name is David Mitchell. I'm 38 years old, a mid-level executive at TechCore Solutions, and until tonight, I thought I had a pretty good handle on my life. Nice house in the suburbs, beautiful wife, decent career trajectory, the American dream, right? Wrong. David? Amanda materialized beside me, her red dress clinging to curves that still made my heart skip after 6 years of marriage. Stop sulking in the corner. Mr. Hartwell wants to meet you. James Hartwell. The name alone commanded respect in tech circles. Billionaire investor, venture capitalist, owner of half the startups in Silicon Valley. He was also our biggest potential client, which explained why my boss had insisted I attend this ridiculous party. I'm not sulking, I said. I'm observing. You're being antisocial. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in slightly. This is important for my career too, you know. His law firm handles all his contracts. Amanda worked in PR for Whitmore and Associates, one of those white shoe firms where everyone wore designer suits and spoke in carefully modulated tones. She'd been angling for a promotion for months, and apparently schmoozing with billionaires at mansion parties was part of the job description. We navigated through the crowd, tech executives, socialites, people who treated $100 bills like monopoly money. The air reeked of expensive perfume and ambition. Hartwell stood near the grand staircase, surrounded by admirers. He was in his early 50s, tall and broad-shouldered, with silver hair and the kind of confident smile that came from never hearing the word no. When he saw Amanda approaching, his eyes lit up in a way that made my stomach tighten. "Amanda, you look absolutely stunning tonight." He took her hand, holding it a moment too long. "Mr. Hartwell, this is my husband, David. He's the executive I mentioned at TechCore." Hartwell's handshake was crushing, deliberate. "David, Amanda's told me so much about you. You're working on that cloud security project, right?" "That's right. We're developing..." "Fascinating." He wasn't looking at me anymore. His attention had already shifted back to Amanda. "You know, I've been thinking about what you said last week, about expanding my media presence." Last week? Amanda hadn't mentioned meeting with Hartwell before. "I have some ideas," Amanda said, her voice taking on that professional purr she used with important clients. "We could schedule a proper consultation." "Actually, I have a better idea." Hartwell raised his voice slightly, and the crowd around us quieted. He had that kind of presence. When he spoke, people listened. "I'm hosting a retreat next week at my private island. Just a small group of key partners and advisors. We'll discuss strategy, build relationships. It's invitation only." Several people in the crowd murmured appreciatively. An invitation to Hartwell's island was apparently a big deal. "I'd love for you to join us, Amanda. Your insights would be invaluable." Amanda's face lit up. "That sounds amazing. When?" "Next Monday through Friday. 5 days. We'll fly out from the private terminal." He paused, his smile widening. "Of course, it's a working retreat. Very intensive. No distractions." The way he said, "no distractions," while looking directly at me, wasn't subtle. "I'm not sure I can take a whole week off," Amanda said, but I could hear the lie in her voice. She wanted this. Badly. "I'll make it worth your while." Hartwell pulled out his phone, tapped something, and showed her the screen. Amanda's eyes widened. That's very generous." "What is?" I asked. "Mr. Hartwell is offering a consulting fee for the week." "How much?" $100,000. The number hung in the air like a bomb. People around us gasped, whispered. $100,000 for a week of consulting. It was obscene. It was also more than Amanda made in 6 months. I'll have my assistant send over the contract tomorrow, Hartwell said smoothly. It's non-negotiable, though. I need you there the entire week. No interruptions, no early departures. Can you commit? This was wrong. Everything about this felt wrong. But I was surrounded by dozens of people, all watching, all waiting to see what would happen. If I objected, I'd look like a controlling husband. If I stayed silent, I'd look like a coward. Amanda looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not love, not consideration, calculation. Yes, she said, turning back to Hartwell. I can commit. The crowd erupted in polite applause. Hartwell raised his glass in a toast. To new partnerships. I wanted to grab Amanda's arm, pull her aside, demand to know what the hell she was thinking. But Hartwell's bodyguard, a massive guy in a dark suit, had somehow positioned himself between us. Not threatening, exactly. Just present. Let's talk later, Amanda whispered to me, not meeting my eyes. Amanda. Later, David. Don't make a scene. She walked away with Hartwell, laughing at something he said. I stood there holding my champagne glass, acutely aware that everyone was looking at me. Some with pity, some with barely concealed amusement. My boss, Richard Peterson, appeared at my elbow. Well, that was something. Your wife just scored a major win. Yeah, I said flatly. A win. You should be celebrating. That consulting fee could change your lives. Right. Change our lives. He clapped me on the shoulder and wandered off to network. I stayed rooted to the spot, watching Amanda disappear into Hartwell's inner circle. She didn't look back once. The party continued around me. Music played. People danced. I finished my champagne and grabbed another glass from a passing waiter. Then another. By the time I decided to find Amanda, she was gone. I searched the mansion, the ballroom, the library, the ridiculous indoor pool, but she'd vanished. Finally, I found Hartwell's assistant, a severe woman in her 40s. Mrs. Mitchell left about 20 minutes ago, she informed me. Mr. Hartwell's driver took her home. She said you should catch a ride with your colleagues. She left without me? She seemed quite excited about the island retreat. Mr. Hartwell has that effect on people. I stood in the mansion's grand foyer, surrounded by wealth I'd never possess, and felt something cold settle into my chest. Not quite anger yet. More like the prelude to anger. The warning tremor before the earthquake. I called an Uber and rode home in silence, watching the city lights blur past. Our house was dark when I arrived. Amanda's car sat in the driveway, but when I went inside, she wasn't in the bedroom. I found her in her office, typing furiously on her laptop. We need to talk, I said. Not now, I'm working on the proposal for Hartwell. Amanda, look at me. She sighed and spun her chair around. What? You're seriously going to spend a week alone with that guy on his private island? It's not alone. There will be other consultants there. Did you know about this before tonight? Her hesitation told me everything. I may have heard rumors he was planning something. And you didn't think to mention it? Because I knew you'd react like this. David, this is a huge opportunity. Do you know what $100,000 could do for us? For us or for you? What's that supposed to mean? I took a breath, trying to stay calm. The way he looked at you tonight, the way he touched your hand. This isn't about consulting, Amanda. He wants you. Oh my God. She laughed, actually laughed. You're jealous of a billionaire who could have any woman he wants. Exactly. And he wants my wife. You're being paranoid and insecure. This is business, professional. I'm going to that island. I'm going to do my job. And I'm going to come back with $100,000 and probably a permanent consulting contract. You should be supporting me, not interrogating me like some possessive caveman. I'm not being possessive. I'm being realistic. No one pays $100,000 for a week of PR consulting. He's buying something else. Amanda stood up, her face flushing with anger. You want to know what he's buying? Respect, recognition, things you clearly can't give me. I'm tired of being the wife of a mid-level manager who's too scared to take risks. This is my chance to be more than that. The words hit like physical blows. Too scared to take risks? I've supported every career move you've made. I've never held you back. You've never pushed me forward either. You're comfortable being mediocre, David. I'm not. She grabbed her phone and walked past me, heading upstairs. I heard the bedroom door close, then lock. I stood in her office, looking at her laptop screen. The proposal for Hartwell. Professional language, strategic recommendations, nothing obviously inappropriate. But I knew. In my gut, I knew this was the beginning of something that would destroy us. I just didn't know how right I was. The next 5 days were tense. Amanda avoided me, spending every evening preparing for the retreat. She bought new clothes, expensive dresses and swimsuits that definitely weren't business attire. When I questioned her about it, she snapped that she needed to look professional. Professional. Right. Monday morning arrived. Amanda's suitcase sat by the door, packed and ready. She wore designer jeans and a silk blouse, her hair perfectly styled. She looked beautiful. She looked like she was going on a romantic vacation, not a business trip. "The car will be here in 10 minutes, she said, not looking at me. "Amanda, please, don't do this. We've been over this 1,000 times. Then go over it once more, for me." She finally met my eyes. "I'm going. You can either support me or sulk about it. Your choice." "What if I ask you not to go?" "Then I'd say you don't get to make that decision for me." A black Mercedes pulled into our driveway. The driver got out, the same bodyguard from the party. He took Amanda's suitcase without a word. "I'll call you when I get there," Amanda said, grabbing her purse. "Will you?" She paused at the door. For a moment, I thought she might actually reconsider. Then she walked out, closing the door behind her with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot. I watched through the window as she got into the car. She didn't look back. The Mercedes pulled away, and I stood there in our empty house, feeling something inside me break. No, not break, transform. I'd spent 6 years being the supportive husband, the understanding partner, the guy who never made waves. And where had it gotten me? Watching my wife drive off to spend a week with a billionaire who looked at her like she was dessert. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a bourbon at 9 in the morning, and made a decision. If Amanda wanted to play in the big leagues, if she wanted to see what happened when you treated people like they were disposable, then fine. I'd show her. But first, I needed information. I called in sick to work and drove to the only place in town where I could think clearly, Mickey's boxing gym. It was a run-down place in the industrial district, all sweat-stained mats and ancient equipment. I'd been coming here since college, back when I actually competed. Now I just came to hit things when life got overwhelming. Mickey himself was at the front desk, a 70-year-old former heavyweight with cauliflower ears and hands like cinder blocks. "David, haven't seen you in weeks. You look like hell." "Feel like it too." I paid for a session and headed to the locker room. An hour later, after beating the heavy bag until my knuckles bled through my wraps, I felt marginally better. Mickey found me in the locker room, icing my hands. "Woman trouble?" he asked. "That obvious?" "Son, I've been married 4 times. I know that look. What did she do?" I told him everything. The party, Hartwell, the island retreat. Mickey listened without interrupting, his weathered face expressionless. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You know what your problem is? You're fighting defensive, waiting for her to throw punches. That's how you lose." "What am I supposed to do? She's already gone." "So go on offense. If someone sets your house on fire, you don't just rebuild, you torch theirs first." That's not exactly legal advice. Didn't say it was legal, said it was effective. He stood up, his knees creaking. "You want my real advice? Stop being nice. Nice guys finish last, especially when they're fighting dirty players. Your wife decided to play a dirty game. Time you learned the rules." I drove home with Mickey's words echoing in my head. Stop being nice. Go on offense. torch their house. Okay then. I started in Amanda's office. She'd left her laptop at home, probably had a tablet for the island. Her desk was organized chaos, files and folders and sticky notes. I spent 2 hours going through everything, looking for, I didn't know what. Evidence? Confirmation? I found it in a locked drawer. Took me 20 minutes to pick the lock with a paperclip, but I managed. Inside, a burner phone. My hands shook as I turned it on. The messages loaded slowly. Texts between Amanda and a number saved as JH, James Hartwell. The earliest message was from 3 months ago. JH, enjoyed our lunch. You're even more impressive in person. Amanda, thank you. I'm excited about the possibilities. JH, I'm excited about you. It got worse from there. Much worse. Flirty texts that gradually became explicit. Photos Amanda had sent. Nothing nude, but definitely suggestive. Plans for the island retreat that had nothing to do with business. One message from last week stopped me cold. Amanda. What about David? JH. What about him? You said yourself the marriage is over. This is just making it official. Amanda. I know, you're right. 1 week on the island, and I'll be ready to leave him. I read that message 5 times, each time hoping I'd misunderstood. But the words didn't change. 1 week on the island, and I'll be ready to leave him. The anger I'd been suppressing exploded. I wanted to throw the phone across the room, smash every piece of furniture, scream until my throat bled. Instead, I did something smarter. I photographed every message, backed them up to 3 different cloud accounts, saved the photos Amanda had sent, documented everything with timestamps and metadata. Then I carefully put the burner phone back exactly where I'd found it and relocked the drawer. Evidence secured, I moved to phase 2. Amanda had left her iPad on the nightstand. I knew her password. She'd never changed it from our anniversary date. Inside, I found her email, her social media, her entire digital life. I spent the rest of the day reading, learning, planning. She'd been lying for months. Secret meetings with Hartwell, lunches she'd claimed were with clients, late nights she'd blamed on work projects. All lies, all carefully constructed deceptions. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd told her best friend everything, Jennifer Walsh, Amanda's college roommate, now a social media influencer with 500,000 followers. Their email chain was a goldmine of gossip, complaints about me, and detailed plans for Amanda's new life with Hartwell. One email from Jennifer, sent 2 weeks ago, sent a chill down my spine. I'm so jealous. A week on a private island with James Hartwell. Girl, you better come back with either a ring or a ridiculously good story. Probably both. And don't worry about David. He'll be fine. Guys like him always land on their feet. Plus, let's be honest, you've been carrying that marriage for years. Time for you to be with someone on your level. Amanda's response, I know. I just feel guilty sometimes. But you're right. I deserve better. James makes me feel alive in a way David never has. By the time I get back from the island, I'll be ready to file for divorce. James already has lawyers lined up. Lawyers lined up. They'd been planning this, not just an affair, a complete exit strategy. I closed the iPad carefully and sat on our bed, looking around the room we'd shared for 6 years. The photos on the dresser, our wedding, vacations, happy moments that now felt like lies. The furniture we'd picked out together, the life we'd built. All of it, an illusion she was ready to discard. Fine. If Amanda wanted to burn our marriage down, I'd help her. But I'd make damn sure she burned with it. I started that night. First, I went through our house room by room, gathering every piece of clothing, jewelry, and personal item that belonged to Amanda. Designer dresses, expensive shoes, the handbags she'd spent thousands on. I piled everything in the backyard, then I burned it. The fire was beautiful in its destruction. Silk and leather and cashmere going up in flames, thousands of dollars turning to ash. I stood there drinking bourbon, watching 6 years of accumulated possessions disappear into smoke. When the fire burned out, I went back inside and changed all the locks. Front door, back door, garage. Amanda's keys would be useless when she came back. Next, I logged into our joint bank accounts. We'd always kept our finances mostly separate, but we had a shared savings account with about $40,000. I transferred every penny to my personal account. Then I called our credit card companies and canceled every card with her name on it. It was past midnight when I finished. I sat in our living room, my living room now, and felt a strange calm settle over me. This was just the beginning. I had a week before Amanda returned, a week to systematically dismantle everything she'd taken for granted. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "Made it to the island. It's gorgeous. Talk tomorrow?" I didn't respond. Tuesday morning, I called Jennifer Walsh. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and fake friendly. "David, how are you?" "Great, actually. Hey, I wanted to ask you something. You and Amanda are close, right?" "Best friends since college. Why?" "I'm planning a surprise for when she gets back from her trip. I want to throw her a party, invite all her friends and colleagues. Can you help me organize it?" Jennifer's enthusiasm was immediate. "Oh my God, that's so sweet. Yes, absolutely. What did you have in mind?" We talked for 20 minutes. I played the devoted husband perfectly, asking about guest lists and venues and catering. Jennifer ate it up, probably already imagining the Instagram content. Before we hung up, I casually mentioned that Amanda had been so busy preparing for the Hartwell retreat, she'd barely had time to talk. "I know, right?" Jennifer said. "She's been obsessing over this trip for weeks. I told her to relax, that James clearly adores her, but you know Amanda. Always overthinking." "James adores her?" A pause. "I mean, professionally. He's clearly impressed with her work." "Right, professionally." After we hung up, I smiled. Jennifer had just confirmed what I already knew, and she'd done it while thinking she was helping plan a party. Perfect. I spent Tuesday gathering more information. I had friends from college who'd gone into private investigation, and one owed me a favor. I called him and explained the situation, carefully, without mentioning anything illegal. "You want me to look into James Hartwell?" Jake asked. "Just public information. Business dealings, past relationships, anything that might be relevant. Give me 24 hours. While I waited, I focused on Amanda's career. She worked at Whitmore and Associates, a firm that prided itself on discretion and professionalism. I wondered how they'd feel knowing one of their PR executives was sleeping with a client. I called the firm's main line and asked for Amanda's boss, Patricia Whitmore herself. "This is Patricia. Ms. Whitmore, my name is David Mitchell. I'm Amanda Mitchell's husband." "Oh yes, David. What can I do for you?" "I wanted to thank you personally for allowing Amanda to take this week off for the Hartwell Consulting Project. It's such an incredible opportunity for her." "I'm sorry. What consulting project?" My heart rate picked up. "The retreat at James Hartwell's private island, the $100,000 consulting contract." Silence. Then, "Mr. Mitchell, Amanda requested this week as vacation time. She didn't mention any consulting project or contract with James Hartwell. In fact, our firm has a strict policy against private consulting arrangements with clients. It's a conflict of interest." "I see. I must have misunderstood. Sorry to bother you." "Mr. Mitchell, wait. Is there something I should know about?" "I'm sure it's nothing. Amanda probably just didn't want to bother you with the details. Have a great day." I hung up before she could ask more questions. The seed was planted. Patricia Whitmore would definitely be looking into this now, and when she did, she'd discover that Amanda had lied about the nature of her trip. That alone could cost Amanda her job. But I wasn't done. Jake called back Wednesday morning with a file on James Hartwell. It was extensive: business ventures, properties, past relationships. The relationships were particularly interesting. Hartwell had a pattern: wealthy, married women. He'd had affairs with at least 4 in the past decade, always following the same playbook: lavish gifts, private getaways, promises of a new life. 3 of the 4 had left their husbands for him. All 3 had been discarded within 6 months. He's a collector, Jake explained. Gets off on the conquest, not the relationship. Once he's won, he loses interest. What happened to the women? Messy divorces, mostly. They left their husbands with nothing, thinking Hartwell would take care of them. He didn't. Last I heard, 2 were working retail. 1 moved back in with her parents. Perfect. I had everything I needed. Wednesday afternoon, I got a call from Amanda. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hey," she said. Her voice sounded different, distant. "You haven't been responding to my texts." "Been busy." "Doing what?" "Working, thinking, the usual." A pause. "Are you okay? You sound weird." "I'm fine. How's the island?" "It's amazing. David, I can't even describe it. The beach, the house, everything. James has been such a gracious host." "I bet he has." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Enjoy your vacation." "It's not a vacation, it's work." "Right, work. Hey, Amanda, quick question. Does your boss know about this consulting contract?" Another pause, longer this time. "Why would you ask that?" "Just curious. Seems like a big deal. Thought she'd want to know." "David, what did you do?" "Nothing. Just making conversation. I should go. Talk later." I hung up before she could respond. My phone immediately started ringing. Amanda calling back. I ignored it. She called 3 more times, then switched to texts. Amanda. "What did you do?" Amanda. "Did you call Patricia?" Amanda. "David, answer me." Amanda. "You're being childish." I turned my phone off and went to the gym. Mickey was waiting when I arrived. "You look better. Less like a kick puppy, more like a pissed-off wolf." "Making progress." "Good. Remember, offense wins fights. Defense just delays the inevitable." I worked the heavy bag for an hour, imagining Hartwell's face with every punch. When I finished, my knuckles were raw, but my mind was clear. Thursday, everything accelerated. Patricia Whitmore called my cell. "Mr. Mitchell, I need to speak with Amanda. She's not answering her phone." "She's on an island, probably limited service." "I see. Mr. Mitchell, I've been looking into this situation, and I'm very concerned. If Amanda is engaging in unauthorized consulting work with a firm client, that's a serious breach of her employment contract. When she returns, we'll need to have a conversation about her future with Whitmore and Associates." "I understand. I'll let her know if I hear from her." "Please do." 2 hours later, Jennifer Walsh called me, her voice tight with barely suppressed excitement. "David, I just heard the craziest rumor. Someone saying Amanda is having an affair with James Hartwell. Can you believe that?" I told them it was ridiculous, that Amanda would never. "Where did you hear that?" "It's all over social media. Someone leaked photos from the island, Amanda and James together, looking very close." My stomach dropped. I hadn't leaked anything yet. "What photos?" "I'll send you the link." The photos were on a gossip site, posted anonymously. Amanda and Hartwell on the beach, his arm around her waist. Another of them on a yacht, drinking champagne. A third of them entering what was clearly a bedroom together. The comments were brutal. "Gold digger alert." "Poor husband. Hope he takes her for everything." "Another marriage bites the dust. Billionaires ruin everything." I stared at the photos, feeling sick. Not because I was surprised, I'd known what was happening. But seeing it, having it confirmed so publicly, was different. My phone rang. Amanda, calling from a different number. "David, have you seen the photos?" "Yeah. It's not what it looks like. Someone's trying to sabotage me. Those photos are taken out of context." "Are they? Because they look pretty clear to me." "We were just talking. James was showing me around the island. There's nothing inappropriate happening." "Then why are you entering a bedroom together?" We were looking at the art collection. He has paintings in every room." "Amanda, stop. Just stop lying." "I'm not lying." "I found your burner phone. I read every message between you and Hartwell. I know everything. Silence. Complete, damning silence. Then quietly, you went through my things? You're sleeping with a billionaire and planning to divorce me, but I'm the bad guy for finding out? David. Save it. Come home or don't. I honestly don't care anymore. But when you do get back, you'll find some things have changed. What does that mean? You'll see. I hung up and blocked her number. Friday morning, I woke up to chaos. The photos had gone viral. Amanda's name was trending on social media, and not in a good way. Someone had identified her, found her LinkedIn profile, and connected her to Whitmore and Associates. The firm's reputation was taking a hit. My phone was flooded with messages from friends, family, colleagues. Everyone wanted to know if I was okay, if the rumors were true, if I needed anything. I ignored them all except one, my brother Tom. Dude, I just saw the news. What the hell is going on? I told him everything. Tom listened, swearing occasionally, and when I finished, he said, "What do you need?" Honestly, I don't know yet, but I might need a place to crash for a few days. Door's always open. And David? I'm sorry, Amanda's a piece of work. Yeah, I'm figuring that out. Friday afternoon, Patricia Whitmore released a statement. Amanda Mitchell is no longer employed by Whitmore and Associates. We maintain the highest standards of professional conduct, and recent events have made it clear that Ms. Mitchell does not share our values. Amanda had been fired, publicly, humiliatingly fired. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. Saturday morning, Amanda came home. I was in the kitchen when I heard her key in the lock. Heard her swear when it didn't work. Heard her pounding on the door. I took my time walking to the front door. When I opened it, she looked terrible. No makeup, hair disheveled, eyes red from crying. "Let me in," she said. "No." "David, this is my house too." Was, past tense. You made your choice. Now live with it. "You can't lock me out of my own home?" "Actually, I can. Your name's not on the deed. We rent, remember? And I already spoke to the landlord. You're not on the lease." Her face went white. "You're lying." "Check with him yourself. Also, you might want to check your bank account, and your credit cards, and your closet. What did you do? What you were planning to do to me, except I did it first." She tried to push past me. I blocked the doorway. "Move, David." "No." "I'll call the police." "Go ahead. Tell them your husband locked you out after you spent a week screwing a billionaire. I'm sure they'll be very sympathetic." Amanda's face crumpled. "I hate you." "Good. That makes two of us." I closed the door in her face and locked it. She pounded on it for a few more minutes, screaming threats and insults. Then she gave up and left. I watched through the window as she got into a car, not Hartwell's Mercedes, just a regular Uber. She looked broken, defeated. I didn't feel good about it. But I didn't feel bad either. The next week was a blur. Amanda tried calling from different numbers, sending emails, even showed up at my work. I had security escort her out. She tried to get her job back at Whitmore and Associates. They refused. She tried to salvage her relationship with Hartwell. He ghosted her. Jennifer Walsh, her supposed best friend, posted a long Instagram story about toxic people and betrayal, making it clear she was distancing herself from Amanda. The comments were savage. Amanda's other friends followed suit. No one wanted to be associated with the woman who'd been caught cheating so publicly, so spectacularly. I, meanwhile, became an object of sympathy. Colleagues took me out for drinks. Friends checked in constantly. My boss even gave me a few days off to deal with personal matters. "You're handling this really well," Richard said. "Most guys would be falling apart." "I'm just taking it one day at a time," I said, playing the role of the wounded but dignified husband. The truth was more complicated. I'd destroyed Amanda's life systematically, efficiently, and without remorse. I'd taken everything she valued, her career, her reputation, her financial security, her social circle, and burned it all down. And I still wasn't done. 2 weeks after Amanda's return, I got a call from Jake. "You're not going to believe this," he said. "James Hartwell is getting sued. 3 of his ex-mistresses are filing a joint lawsuit claiming he manipulated them into leaving their husbands with promises he never kept." "Seriously?" "Gets better. They're looking for more women to join the lawsuit. I may have mentioned Amanda's name to their lawyer." I smiled. "You're a good friend, Jake." "I'm a vindictive friend. There's a difference." 3 days later, Amanda showed up at Mickey's gym. I was working the speed bag when she walked in, looking thin and haggard. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't." "David, please, I'm begging you. I have nothing left. No job, no money, no place to live. James won't return my calls. Jennifer and everyone else have abandoned me. I'm staying at a motel, and I can barely afford that." "Sounds rough. I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake. But what you did, destroying my entire life, that's not justice. That's revenge." I stopped hitting the bag and turned to face her. "You're right. It is revenge. And you know what? It felt great." "How can you be so cruel?" "You want to talk about cruel? Let's talk about how you spent months planning to leave me. How you lied to my face every single day. How you were ready to take half of everything I'd worked for and run off with a billionaire. The only difference between us is that I was better at it than you." Tears streamed down her face. "I loved you once." Past tense. Yeah, I noticed. "What do you want from me? What will it take for you to stop?" I picked up my water bottle, took a long drink, and considered the question. What did I want? "Nothing," I said finally. "I don't want anything from you. You're not worth wanting anything from. You're just a lesson I had to learn the hard way. That nice guys finish last, and trust is for suckers. So that's it? You're just going to let me suffer? I'm not letting you do anything. You did this to yourself. I just made sure you couldn't do it to me first." Amanda stood there for a long moment, looking at me like she'd never seen me before. Maybe she hadn't. Maybe she'd only ever seen the version of me she wanted to see, the safe, boring husband she could manipulate and eventually discard. "You've changed," she said quietly. "Yeah, I have. Thanks for that." She turned and walked out of the gym. I watched her go, feeling nothing but a cold satisfaction. Mickey appeared beside me. "That the wife?" "Ex-wife, soon anyway." "She looks like hell." "Good." Mickey nodded approvingly. "You won the fight, kid. Knocked her out in the final round. How's it feel?" I thought about the question. How did it feel? I'd gotten my revenge. Amanda had lost everything, just like she'd planned for me to lose everything. By any measure, I'd won. So why did I feel so empty? "It feels like winning," I said, because that was what Mickey wanted to hear. But the truth was more complicated. Revenge was supposed to be satisfying. It was supposed to make you feel better, vindicated, whole again. Instead, I just felt hollow, like I'd burned down a house with me still inside it. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. Amanda didn't contest anything. She couldn't afford a lawyer. I got the house, the car, everything. She got nothing. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she'd moved back to her hometown, was living with her parents, working at a department store. The lawsuit against Hartwell had been settled out of court, but Amanda hadn't been part of it. She'd missed the cutoff to join. James Hartwell himself had moved on to his next conquest. The whole scandal had barely dented his reputation. Rich men, apparently, got infinite second chances. 6 months after the divorce, I was promoted at work. Corner office, significant raise, the whole package. My boss took me out to celebrate. "You've really come into your own this year," Richard said, raising his glass. "Whatever you've been through, it's made you stronger, tougher. That's the kind of attitude we need in leadership." I clinked my glass against his and drank. Tougher. Yeah, I was definitely tougher. I was also lonelier, more cynical, and less trusting than I'd ever been. But apparently, those were leadership qualities. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. Every time a woman showed interest, I found myself analyzing her motives, looking for hidden agendas, waiting for the betrayal. It was exhausting. One night, I ran into Jennifer Walsh at a bar downtown. She was with a group of influencer friends, all of them perfectly styled and carefully curated. She saw me and waved, then came over. "David, how are you?" "Fine. You?" "Great. Listen, I've been meaning to reach out. I feel terrible about everything that happened with Amanda. I had no idea she was capable of that." "Didn't you? You seemed pretty supportive in your emails." Her smile faltered. "What emails?" "The ones where you encouraged her to leave me for Hartwell, told her she deserved better, helped her plan the whole thing." Jennifer's face went pale. "I never. That was just girl talk. I didn't think she'd actually. Save it. You helped destroy my marriage because you thought it would make good content. How many followers did you gain from the scandal? 10,000? 20? That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair?" I leaned in close. "You're a parasite, Jennifer. You feed on other people's drama because you don't have a real life of your own. Amanda was your friend, and you sold her out for likes and shares. So don't stand here pretending you feel terrible. We both know you don't." I walked away, leaving her standing there. One of her friends asked if she was okay. I heard her say, "He's just bitter. The divorce was really hard on him." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was bitter. But I was also done pretending to be nice to people who didn't deserve it. A year after the divorce, I went back to Mickey's gym. I hadn't been in months. I'd been too busy with work, with building my new life. Mickey was at the front desk, same as always. "David, long time. You here to train?" "Maybe. I don't know. I just needed to get out of my head for a while." "Woman trouble again?" "No. No women. That's kind of the problem." Mickey studied me with those sharp old eyes. "You won your fight. So why do you look like you lost?" "I don't know. I got everything I wanted. Amanda's life is ruined. I got promoted. I'm doing great. But I don't feel great. I feel empty." "That's because revenge ain't a win, kid. It's a draw. You hurt her, sure. But you hurt yourself too. That's the thing about fighting dirty. You both end up covered in mud." "So what was I supposed to do? Just let her destroy me?" "No. You were supposed to walk away, file for divorce, split your assets, move on. Instead, you turned into the thing you hated. You became just as manipulative and cruel as her." She deserved it. "Maybe. But did you deserve to become that person?" I didn't have an answer for that. Mickey clapped me on the shoulder. "Go home, David. Take some time. Figure out who you want to be now that the fight's over. Because right now, you're still in the ring, still throwing punches at ghosts." I drove home in silence, thinking about his words. He was right. I'd spent a year being angry, being vengeful, being someone I didn't recognize. I'd won the fight, but I'd lost myself in the process. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I looked at old photos of Amanda and me, the early years when we were happy, or when I thought we were happy. Maybe it had all been an illusion, or maybe it had been real once, and we'd just let it die. Either way, it was over. The revenge was done. Amanda had paid for her betrayal 100 times over, and I'd paid too in different ways. It was time to stop fighting. 2 years after the divorce, I was a different person. Still successful at work, still cautious with relationships, but no longer consumed by anger. I'd started therapy, worked through my trust issues, learned to let go of the bitterness. I even started dating someone seriously, a teacher named Sarah who knew nothing about my past and didn't care when I finally told her. "Everyone has baggage," she said. "The question is whether you're still carrying it or you've learned to set it down." I was learning to set it down. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the grocery store when I saw her. Amanda. She looked different. Older, tired, but also somehow more at peace. She was with a man, someone ordinary looking, and they were laughing about something. Our eyes met across the produce section. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Amanda gave me a small nod. Not friendly, not hostile, just acknowledgement. I nodded back. We didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. We'd both destroyed each other in different ways, and we'd both survived. That was enough. I finished my shopping and went home to Sarah, who was making dinner in my kitchen, our kitchen now. She looked up when I came in and smiled. "You okay? You look weird." "I'm good, just ran into my ex." "How was that?" "Strange, but okay. I think I'm finally okay." Sarah came over and kissed me. "Good, because I'm making your favorite, and I need you to be in a good mood when you taste it." I laughed and helped her cook, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something close to happy. Not the naive happiness of my marriage to Amanda, but something harder earned and more real. The revenge had been satisfying in the moment, but it hadn't healed anything. Time had done that, and therapy, and meeting someone who saw me as I was now, not as I'd been. Mickey had been right. Revenge was a draw. We'd both lost and both won, and in the end, we'd both had to figure out how to live with what we'd done. I chose to live well. I didn't know what Amanda chose, and I didn't need to. Her life wasn't my concern anymore. That night, Sarah and I watched a movie, and halfway through, she fell asleep on my shoulder. I sat there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and thought about how far I'd come from that night at the mansion, watching my wife drive away with a billionaire. I'd been destroyed. Then I'd destroyed in return. And then, slowly, painfully, I'd rebuilt myself into something better. The revenge had been the easy part. The recovery had been harder. But I'd done it. I'd survived. And that, I realized, was the real victory. Not destroying Amanda, not winning the fight, just surviving it and coming out the other side still capable of love, still capable of trust, still capable of being human. 3 years after the divorce, I married Sarah in a small ceremony with close friends and family. Tom was my best man. Mickey came, looking uncomfortable in a suit. Even my boss Richard showed up with his wife. Amanda wasn't invited, but I didn't spend the day thinking about her or about revenge or about the past. I spent it looking at Sarah, at our future, at the life we were building together. Because that was the thing about revenge. It could destroy your enemies, but it couldn't build anything new. Only you could do that. And I had.